everyone. Welcome to Heart of the Earth. I have some really interesting guests with us today, some very lovely people. I'd like to tell you who they are, and then I'll let you know what the show is going to be about. On my right is Linda Barron from the Rotary Club. She's the president of the Rotary Club. Say hello.
Hello.
Cami Brandafino, and she's from Coolies Anemia Foundation. And with her is Maria Rizzo, who is a patient who lives with Coolies Anemia. Welcome, ladies. So good to have you here.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yes, great. I wanted to invite these people on the show because a lot of people know about the Rotary Club, but they don't know what the Rotary Club does or the people that they serve. And so what I did was ask these two people from Coolies Anemia to come on because the Rotary Club has made some valuable contributions to their organization, and we want to know what this disease is all about. But first, I thought we would speak to Linda a little bit about the Rotary Club. Linda will tell us a little bit about how long she's been with the club and her position there, and what some of the organizations that they help.
So I've been with the Rotary Club for about 10 years now. It's a wonderful organization. It's a group of business people who get together on a weekly basis, and they do a lot of philanthropic things here on Staten Island. They support local organizations. The money that was allocated to Coolies Anemia came from a car raffle that we do every year. And we actually last year gave about 30 organizations here on Staten Island, whether they were healthcare, educational, Hurricane Sandy victims,
food relief,
all different types of, all different good causes here on Staten Island. A lot of small individual not-for-profits really are supported by the Staten Island Rotary Club, and we have 4 other clubs on Staten Island that do very similar things.
And how much money did the car raffle raise this year?
This year, we don't have the tallies in yet, but I believe in the past we've raised about $30,000 with the car raffle.
Wow!
And there are only 35 people in the club, so to raise $30,000 is a significant amount of money. And to be able to contribute that and give back, it's one of the biggest. It's probably the most important thing that we do here in terms of our fundraising efforts.
Yeah, yeah. So you have 35 members, and what's involved with joining the club?
What's involved with joining the club?
Let the viewers know.
It really is. It's a time commitment, and you need to want to volunteer. The people that are involved in our club spend a lot of time distributing turkey baskets. We do Ecology Day at the mall every year. There's a lot of different activities that we do. Adopt a Family, we just did a wonderful, we helped a local family here on Staten Island. We dropped off Christmas gifts and gift cards for food so that we could help them during the holiday season. They were a needy family who really needed some help. So, everybody in the group contributed gifts. We brought them over. So there's a lot of time spent, but it's a lot of quality time. It's a lot of good things. A lot of the business people here on Staten Island work every day. This gives them the opportunity to kind of get a little outside of their work environment and do things that, can support our community.
That's wonderful. How long have you been the president of the Rotary?
Just this past year, since July. The president's year run from July through June, so for 6 months now.
Wow, and Linda is also the president. At the same time, she's also the president of the Chamber of Commerce. How do you enjoy that kind of work?
I enjoy it very much. I've been doing it for, oh my goodness, about 28 years, so I've been there a very long time. For me, I started as the Chamber's bookkeeper, believe it or not, years ago, and I became the president there about 10 years ago, and that's when I became involved in Rotary at the same time.
Oh, so you were the president of the Chamber, and then you started volunteering through the Rotary.
Right. And I find it great because through the Chamber, I have many, many not-for-profits, and it's really hard for me to support one over the other. Through Rotary, I can get involved. I can get involved in different causes and give back, and it's a little bit of a different dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm so pleased to have Linda on the show. This is a long time coming. I asked her to come on several months ago because I want people to know what the Rotary Club does and all the people that they help. Maria, tell me about your life. Presently, what goes on with you? You get transfusions. How often, and what's involved with that?
Nothing's changed with the transfusion. It's every 2 weeks I get transfusions. I myself a two-patient because I have the cardiac.
Diseases?
Well, I have a heart issue now.
And that's called what?
I had cardiac arrest. I had a heart attack.
How old were you when you had a heart attack?
I was 32. Now, instead of a pump, thankfully, we have these oral chelators, which has been a godsend because, believe it or not, even after my heart attack, I didn't learn the lesson of that pump. whether I fall asleep before I administer it, or I just didn't want to do it, and I was just getting tired of it. 40 years of sticking yourself with a needle gets a little overwhelming sometimes, and you just, not that I don't think I was giving up the fight, but you want to break from it, and unfortunately your body tells you differently. So I, went into heart failure, went into heart attack.
This is a very serious disease, people, and we're holding this discussion so that those of you who are inclined, you don't know I'm going to say this, but those of you who are inclined to make charitable donations, I want you to see the face of someone young who lives with this disease, who the Rotary Club donates to, but the foundation needs much more money than that, I'm sure, and it goes to help people like Maria with all kinds of other support systems, I'm sure, not just medical. Would you like to speak to some of this, Cami?
We do have patient support. Our national office actually has a whole division where the patients can call about insurance problems. They can call to find out where a doctor is in their area, because we have a lot of states where there may be only one patient. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to turn to. They call our foundation, and we're able to direct them to maybe a clinic or a center near them that will take them and will know what Coolies Anemia is. Now, Coolies Anemia is thalassemia. Thalassemia is the medical term, but it's the same thing. Coolies Anemia, it's Coolies because Dr. Coolies discovered this about 90 years ago.
Really?
So this is why, there's a little, but it's also known as thalassemia.
Thalassemia. What is the board doing? What have been some of the accomplishments of the board?
One of the main accomplishments is the jade, which is an iron chelator.
Okay.
It was always Desferol, which is the subcutaneous needle, which my daughter still uses.
For laymen, subcutaneous needle, what did you just say?
In other words, a needle has to go in under the skin. That's called subcutaneous.
Okay, because not all of us know these medical terms.
Because when Maria explained about how she had to wear this Desferol and this pump every night, that's how she inserted it, with a needle in her stomach.
But nowadays?
Nowadays, they do have two other chelators that are oral, X-Jade and Defexferopron, which is L1. It's another chelator, but we only got this up to this point because we have been badgering the National Institute of Health, the FDA. These kids need chelators more than the Desferol, or more than just having Desferol.
A chelator is a what exactly?
The iron chelator, this is what takes the iron out of their body.
Okay, it removes the excessive iron, which causes these side effects like heart problems. And
Exactly.
Wow. This is an important foundation. You're here in Staten Island, and you're also national.
We have a chapter. We're national, which is doing all of the work about getting the FDA to approve a lot of things and to get funding from the National Institute of Health. As I said, we do have a patient services department with a social worker, a licensed social worker, that can tend to some of their other needs. Social, and economic, we really try to help them. On Staten Island, we raise money also, our Staten Island chapter. We have a care walk. That's a national care walk, but we are part of it. And that's coming on May 3rd, and we're doing it at the Clove Lakes Park.
Wow, May 3rd. Everybody get excited.
It's a Sunday.
And get ready for that.
And this is going to be national. This is going across the country. All of the states, all of the people involved throughout the country will be participating on that day.
Beautiful. Cami, tell us a little bit about the Coolies Anemia Foundation, or more important, let's talk about the disease for a minute. Let's let people know what this disease is about from a medical perspective, and then we'll hear from a personal perspective from Maria.
That's okay.
Okay, well, thalassemia or Coolies Anemia is a genetic blood disorder. It is found usually in the Mediterranean region. Years ago, it was thought only to be Italian and Greek, but today the populations are extending to the Southeast Asia, Chinese, the North Africa, Pakistani. So there are 67 different populations that Coolies Anemia is prevalent in.
What exactly is Coolies Anemia? We've all heard of anemia and sickle cell anemia. How does Coolies Anemia, in layman's terms, how does it differ from the other anemia diseases?
With Coolies Anemia, as I said, it is a genetic disorder. What happens is the child born with Coolies Anemia major does not produce enough hemoglobin to live. They can't sustain life. So they need blood transfusions every 2 to 3 weeks for life.
Wow.
Unfortunately, when they have the transfusions, which is making them live, the iron that is being transmitted into their bodies from the blood transfusions is causing liver failure, heart failure. This deposits in the different organs in the body.
Oh my God.
So that's been that's a problem, and because the foundation has worked for years getting new iron chelators that have been able to excrete the iron from these organs, and our patients are living a better quality of life, and they're living longer.
Wow, this sounds very important. How did you get involved with this organization?
I have a child born with Coolies Anemia.
I suspected.
Yeah,
I think I had
yeah.
read that. And how old was your child when they discovered they had this disease?
She was diagnosed at 9 months old, actually. I had a fantastic pediatrician who was a great diagnostician. Very grateful for him to this day.
What were
And
the
they did
symptoms?
diagnose.
What made you
She was
realize-
lethargic. She wasn't doing what a normal 8, 9-month-old was doing. She wasn't eating. She was getting many infections, ear infections, throat infections. We just didn't know what was going on. The doctor realized that her hemoglobin was kind of low, and that's why he said have her tested in a setting that we know these hematologists will know what's going on with her body.
And that was how many years ago?
Well, she's 37, which is highly unusual, where I consider her a miracle, because when they first diagnosed her, our patients didn't live past 16, maybe 10.
Oh, my goodness.
So, every day, you're listening and looking and making sure she's okay.
Oh,
But
must have
thank
been
God,
so
because of the
hard.
breakthroughs that the foundation has helped to create, she is living longer. She was able to get married. She went to school. She has her master's degree. She's an occupational therapist.
Congratulations.
She really has done beautifully. But now she's 37, and I worry every day.
Is it progressive, the disease?
The disease is ongoing. It's not so much progressive. It depends on how much iron you're able to deplete and delete from the organs.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a minute because I want to learn more about the foundation that the Rotary Club has graciously donated to. But I would like to talk to Maria for a little bit. Maria, how old were you when you were diagnosed with this disease?
I was actually 2.
2.
Yeah, I guess I was stubborn. But yeah, I was 2 years old, and I had gotten a high fever, and like she said, I was lethargic. I wasn't running around anymore, and so my parents took me to a local doctor, and somehow they diagnosed it in a local office, which is rare because these local doctors, to this day, still have no idea what Coolies Anemia is. You tell them Coolies Anemia or thalassemia, and they're like, "Oh, you need iron pills," but they don't get it.
It's hard.
It's difficult because it's still not known, and it's sad in this day and age for it not to be, because it is much more worldwide spread now than it was back in the day. So.
Is it more common or just more commonly diagnosed, would you think?
More commonly diagnosed, I would think. It's still, I don't think that common. Sickle cell is, you mentioned sickle cell and everybody's aware of that.
Right.
You mentioned Coolies Anemia and everybody's like, what's that? You mentioned thalassemia, they still don't know.
Yes, thalassemia, is that how you pronounce it?
Thalassemia.
So tell me how your life was. Go back to when you were a child and what your struggles were compared to other children at different stages. Say in your 4, 5, 6 years old. How was your life different? How is a child who has this disease even today, how is their life different than other children who don't have it?
Well, it's different. A lot of the difference can be social. The social differences, and it also relies on your parents and how they handle the situation. And my parents were very, back in the day, this being such a rare disease, were very, terrified. And so they always tried to hold me back from being an active child. And I wasn't having it, so. I think part of my success or my capability to continue on is that I do fight against this. I rage against the whole disease, and I've fought my parents on it, and I've struggled with a lot of things through my life, and I've had my ups and downs medically, but it could be, just my perseverance, I guess, or my drive to want to be as normal as I could possibly be.
Well, for instance, I'm going to ask you for graphic details. So
Sure.
you're 4 or 5 years old at the time. They wanted to overprotect, I'm sure. But for instance, were you susceptible to other diseases? Is that why they would want to keep you in more? I mean, give me some details if you don't mind. Give the viewers.
When my spleen was, they were afraid basically of getting cuts, me losing any blood whatsoever.
Blood, okay.
Any little bleed would freak my mother out. And it was funny, it turned out to be a catch-22. I remember one time I was running down the block and she didn't want me to run, so she chased me, and we both fell and we scraped our knees. So there goes blood. Or, that aspect, or if, when our spleen got removed. Back then they thought it was better for a thalassemia patient to not have a spleen, so it'd be less iron in the body for some reason, because the spleen would contract iron. So then once the spleen is removed, you're susceptible to, a cold can turn into something serious, because you don't have a spleen to protect you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So there were restrictions. Now, with the advances that they've made in treating the disease, these days, are there still the same blood loss issues for children growing up?
Yeah, the issue will always be there. You don't want your child to bleed excessively for any reason, because that would just, take away from the blood they're getting from the transfusions, because they're still not making their own hemoglobin. So, so you never want your child to really be bleeding. I guess any parent doesn't want the child to bleed, but you get a little more petrified when you see your unhealthy child who can't create their own blood start bleeding.
Mm-hmm. So. Now, how did this affect you in your teens? Were there any types of things that happened to you because of the side effects of the illness, or anything that affected your teenage life?
It started in my late teens to early adulthood, I guess I say. I was diagnosed with a little slight heart failure.
Slight heart failure.
Slight heart failure.
Sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah. And which, even though you're a patient, but when you're a patient your whole life, it's all you know. So you're battling with the social aspects of things too. Where we're supposed to wear this pump.
This is what I was wondering when
That's
you say that. Now, were you wearing the pump as a child, or just when you became a teenager?
Well, I didn't, because the Destrol, the medicine, wasn't developed until I was about, I want to say 8 years old.
Okay.
Was when they started applying it to me.
And
that
how
I had
is
to
it
wear.
when you said you wore a pump? What do you mean by that?
It was this little device that you'd mix medicine into a tube, and then you'd have to inject it in some sort of subcutaneous area, like a fatty area or something with a lot of meat, I guess. And so you could pick your leg. Some people put it behind their arms. Some people would pick their legs. I went for the stomach.
Did you walk around with this? Is that what you were saying?
Usually we did it at night. Some of the patients do it during the day. I did it at night. I'm going to say did with air quotes, because I was not as compliant as a child as I should have been.
But when you say you did it at night, you'd have to wear this pouch, we'll call it?
Yeah, for 8 hours.
For 8 hours. So did you have to sit in one spot, or you could walk around
You
with
could walk around with it. It was a tiny little, so you'd wear a belt of some sort, or you stick it in your pajamas, or whatever the case may be, and you'd walk around and just make sure, the needle never came out.
So as a teenager, I suppose it would interfere with the way you dressed. Is that what you said?
Jeans
okay.
were a major obstacle when it came to having a pump bruise or something, because you'd have these welts all over your stomach that were hot to the touch and painful. So jeans were the biggest obstacle as a teenager.
And plus, you couldn't fit them over the pump, maybe?
You definitely, you didn't want to put anything too tight over the needle.
You seem like such an adjusted, confident, beautiful adult. By the way, may I know your age, or may the viewers know your age?
Oh, God, do I have to?
You said 30s,
You're not going to ask me that, are you?
I will, you don't be good.
In actuality, I stopped counting at 39, so I have to kind of calculate them. Yeah. I stopped.
You're over 39.
Oh, God, I'm over.
I thought this young girl is coming in. I thought you were in your late 20s, early 30s. God bless you.
This is part of the miracles we're getting, is that they are reaching adult age.
And looking
they never
beautiful
did, and looking great.
Wow. So you were in your teens, and you were restricted with respect to how you dressed.
Right.
Were there other restrictions? Did you have to go in for transfusions in those days and spend time on a machine? What was going on?
Every 2 weeks, and it interacts with, again, your academics now. Every 2 weeks, you'd have to take a day off from school and go in, because it was a full day's event to get transfused, because you're going to drive out to the city, you have to be typed and crossed, and then you have to wait for a match to your blood. So you would wait, and when the blood came, that takes about 2 hours for each unit.
So you'd have to spend a whole day out of your life every 2 weeks as a teenager and explain to your friends why you're out of school. And People nowadays are more inclusive of those with illnesses and people from other cultures, and it's so politically correct to be accepting and tolerant of people with every situation. But it wasn't quite like that until recently. So was that another issue, having a stigma associated with being sick?
It was. My parents always had my good intentions in mind, but when they always approached every single teacher during grade school and said, I'm not allowed to be punished, I'm not allowed to run around with the kids, I'm not allowed to. So I was that special child that sat in the corner. So the kid, it kind of secluded me so socially I wasn't really part of the aspect of running around in the playground with the kids and getting to interact with them and getting to know them. So I remained a little bit of an outcast. They didn't mean to. They didn't realize that. But
so how would you advise parents today who have a child living with Coolies Anemia?
Oh, without a doubt, they're not sick. They're not sick. They just need a little tweaking, and that's what the transfusion is about and the medicine is about. It's like a car that has a flat tire, and you just got to fill it up with some air or something. It still runs. It's still going to get you where you need to go. And just like us patients, we're going to get where we want to go. We're going to have lives. We're going to have careers. We're going to have children, marriages. But we're gonna have a life. That's what all this medicine is for, so that we can. I would say I don't want to be a perpetual patient. I just take care of what I need to, and then do what I have to do.
Now, does your insurance cover this medication? You said it's expensive.
It is very expensive. When I got the first, because your insurance likes to let you know what they're paying.
Yes.
And I got the first bill for the Exjade, and I was like, "How much?" I'm like, "For a tablet?" I'm like, "Wow." I thank God.
But they do pay it.
They do pay it. Depending on what insurance you have. I don't have private insurance because of my whole debacle. I wound up being on government insurance, so they pretty much pay it. So I'm blessed for that.
Now, we've discovered it, we've isolated it, there's some treatment. What else needs to be done, would you say?
We need a cure.
You need a cure.
We need a cure, and there are doctors now that are working on gene therapy treatment, which is, to us, I think that's going to be the cure.
Yes.
May not be today, tomorrow, but we do have a couple of clinical trials going on in New York, in Italy, and different parts of the world that are treating patients with gene therapy replacement. Wow. Well, because of the Rotary Club and other organizations like them, we were able to give our patients at Christmas time a $10,000. We distributed $10,000. They have unsurmountable and impossible copays from their treatments.
That's what I was wondering about.
Yes, I mean, really, that insurance doesn't cover. They have to be at the hospital. They have to get their travel time in, transportation, all of the little expenses that insurance doesn't cover. So what we do is, because of the fundraising that we do, every year we give them like a little Christmas present. It's a stipend, doesn't cover nearly a quarter of what their expenses are, but we do give them something every year, and they look forward to it. And this is because of the fundraising that we were able to do.
That's beautiful. Maria, what would you like to say to young girls who maybe in their young teens or preteens who are living with this disease? Any word of encouragement? Anything you'd like to share?
Well, for one thing, and you're probably not going to listen to me anyway.
Right,
yes, you're probably not going to listen to me anyway because I know I was stubborn as a teenager. But chelate, whichever way it's going to be, orally, with the pump, whatever way the doctor tells you, chelation is so important. The transfusions, of course, sustain your life, but so does the chelation. Believe it or not, don't think you're invincible because you're feeling young and you're feeling healthy. We all feel like we're super people, but it catches up with you. So listen to your doctors, please. Believe me when I tell you, chelate. You'll be grateful you did.
That sounds like very good advice. Cammie, did you want to say anything else? We have a minute to go.
Yes. We keep talking about blood transfusions. Our children have to get it every 2 to 3 weeks for life. It never ends. They always have to get these transfusions. Please donate blood. We're having a blood drive on Staten Island, January 24th at Our Lady of Pity on Richmond Avenue. So please come down. We need blood transfusions.
What hours there? Our Lady of Pity,
8 a.m. to 2 p.m. after all the masses, But we need blood donations. It's very vitally important. I mean, my daughter went to the hospital one day, and they said, well, she went for a type and cross and everything.
Type and cross.
Type and cross match. They have to make sure that the blood that they give you don't have any antibodies against your
Okay. Oh, so blood type, right?
right, blood type. She went down and they said, oh, we can only give you 1 unit. We don't have another unit.
Oh, this is awful.
And she said, it's not possible. I need 2 units, you know. And they were able to, I don't know, maybe they didn't think how important it was. They realized that she needs this blood, and they were able to give her the 2 units. It's vital. It's vital to our patients.
You know, the Bible even tells us that there's life in the blood. In this case, it's literally true. And this foundation needs you to donate your blood, donate your dollars. Cammie, throw your number, say your number real quick out there.
718-761-5380. That's our chapter number. And our online, you can get us at the foundation, cooliesanemia.org.
Oh, .org. Okay. This is very important, where you can literally be saving lives here now. And I want you to really take this seriously. What we've heard today, I had no idea how serious this disease was. I had no idea you had gotten a heart attack in your 30s, that you go for transfusions. I think I knew that. But what you've lived through, and the coma, and what your family has gone through, we've got to get a cure. But for now, we've got to get people living, and they need blood. So donate blood on what date again?
January 25th, the Sunday.
January 25th.
January 25th.
At St.
Our Lady of Pity on Richmond Avenue from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Maybe we can find another way to get some blood drives going. Linda, anything you wanted to share before we sign off?
I would just like to say that this is just one of many causes, and just listening to your story and you know, seeing how important it is to support some of the organizations to do great work, you know, on Staten Island and all over the place. I'm actually really happy to be a part of the Rotary, where even it's a small piece that we've been able to help in some sort of way. But, you know, I wish you much health in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, everybody. I want to say goodbye. God bless. Please don't text and drive, my favorite thing that I always say, but you can save a life by not doing that as well. God bless. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again, and thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you have any thoughts or concerns or ideas for a show or questions, please contact us. Our information is below. And remember, we want to know what's on your heart.